I studied physics at university. It was a double major. It was the very big and the very small, so astrophysics and quantum mechanics. And then I put that all aside and went and became a pilot for a few years. So I played around in the sky and had fun. And in my Air Force career, come to believe that Australia needs a sovereign launch capability, so our own access to space for our economy, for our national defence, for our national security is going to be super important in the years that are coming, and that competition in what is becoming a much more congested environment in low Earth orbit and further is something that's going to provide opportunities and challenges for us in the future. If we don't have our own access to space, we're going to be at a disadvantage at the global table. And so for me, that's the driver. That's why I got off the beach and came out of retirement to work with the Gilmour brothers to make sure that Australia has a chance at being a part of that future. When we make it to orbit, we'll have been a decade-long overnight success story, but the Gilmour brothers have believed in this since 2013 when they started the company. They've been working and gathering smart people around them, and I think the key is suspending that disbelief. Those people who ask, oh really, can we do that in Australia? I thought they only did that in Europe and the States. Well, no, you can do it here. We've got a massive eastward-facing coastline, a relatively stable political climate, and some of the smartest engineers the world has turned out. Australia invented Wi-Fi, the rotary engine, pacemakers. These are all Australian inventions, and the idea that we don't believe we can have a space industry here is just ludicrous to me. And that narrative will change the day after we put mass in orbit, or at least the day after we send one of these 23-metre, 35-tonne rockets off from the Bowen spaceport and people get to see the visceral reality of what Australians can do. We're going to set that up as Australia's primary commercial orbital spaceport. We don't want to drive to Brisbane or even Townsville to get everything we need to run that establishment. We want the region and its industry to grow with us. And so whether you do large structures like our launch fluids tower and the launch tower, whether you do electronics and networking, whether you do specialist parts machining or CNC, that's something that we're going to be interested in this region so that we can move the space industry forward in Australia from Bowen. So there's no real massive experience of the space industry in Australia. So we're recruiting from everywhere because we find those skills paint across many industries. And so composite structures, a lot of race car engineers are coming on board, smart graduates who have that digital underpinning. And I don't think it's so much a digital industry as I think it is they've got that digital foundation as a part of how they do business coming out of university. We're going to need in the space industry in Australia space lawyers, space doctors, space tradies, engineers, technicians, and folks who just have that operational mindset and a passion for the mission to keep things moving. So logistics, supply chain management, all of these things exist in the space industry like they do in every industry, and ours is an incredible growth path. So here's a number for you and for everyone who's going to listen to this. Out of all the satellites that have been put in orbit over the last decade, 1/3 of them went last year. So I want you to think about that graph and what it means for the future growth of the space industry. So these jobs across all of those spectrum are available and growing. And so we want to demonstrate to the kids what opportunities there are. Let me show you our workforce. So graduate engineers, we've got a bucket of them, probably about 20 or 30 graduate engineers straight out of university, and we've got a large internship program so that those kids, as a part of their education, get to be in the workforce and understand the jobs that they're going to be taking on. We've got a few apprentices, and that number is growing. So we've actually got an apprentice up at Bowen who is a local lad who didn't know what he wanted to do after school, became a tradesman's assistant, and then saw that we were hiring and went, oh, I could be a fitter. And so now we've got an apprentice fitter up on site. We've got apprentice welders. I think we've got apprentice electrical techs down at the factory in the Gold Coast. So getting these people out in front of the kids and showing them that if you have a passion for the mission and you want to be great at your chosen job, come join us. This is real for you. So you need to have a passion for the mission. You need to have some smarts, and you need to be willing to work hard and apply them. You need to have a bit of resilience, because we don't succeed at everything first time. We need to try and try again and learn while we try. You need to have those digital underpinnings, because that is the world today. You need to be able to read something on a computer screen, whether it's a technical drawing or an Australian standard or a spec. And I think you need to ask, why can't we? And so, you know, all these people who thought Australia couldn't have a space industry, we just need to buy a lift to space from the Americans or the Europeans or the Russians. Why can't we? Well, we can. I think Gilmour Space, its stock in trade is learning curves. Every time we understand a little bit of our new technology, we stretch and we want more. So we've just recently completed Australia's first regeneratively cooled liquid rocket engine made from 3D additive manufacturing. So we've 3D printed a miniature rocket engine, not a miniature, it's our stage 3 rocket engine, but that never existed in Australia before, that technology. We've brought that into our lexicon, we've made it part of what we do. And here's the challenge, right? You get a bright, keen, incredibly intelligent and enthusiastic workforce, and you let them rip. You go and tell them to ask why not, and turn their imaginations into reality, then try and keep up with that. So I want them to go back excited, because they need to understand that when they look at the kids the next time that they sit there, recognise that this is the first generation for which space jobs are going to be normal. Have a bit of a thought experiment on how many kids in that room are actually going to go outside of Earth's atmosphere. It's more than have ever been before. So 1/3 of the satellites launched in the last decade made it in the last year. Think about the progression that actually means. Gilmour Space wants to have Australian astronauts by the 30s, 2030s. So some of those kids are going to be involved in that. Get excited, and then get out of their way or keep up with them. We need to be there for them. We need to offer some wisdom and guidance, but we've got to be really careful that our lack of belief, our upbringings where this was not a real thing, don't colour their perceptions of what they could be. If you can demonstrate that it's a real industry, then it's another option for kids who have a passion for that mission. So whether it's aerospace, the arts, or you know, pure science or accounting, have a passion for what you do, because you'll do it better, and you'll be a better person for being happy at what you contribute to the world. So follow that passion. If that passion happens to be focused around the aerospace industry or space in particular, then seriously work hard, because it's a very competitive industry. It's moving incredibly quickly. You're signing up to a lot of long hours, you're signing up to a lot of use of your brain and lifelong learning, because things are changing so quickly. What we're doing in schools is not for a NAPLAN or for a test. It's to make your brain better and make it capable of understanding the next lesson. So I was a pilot in the Air Force, and every 2 to 2.5 years I changed jobs. And so I had to bring what I had learnt with me to the next job and make it better and more capable, and then the next job, and then the next job. And so there was always new information, and my understanding of it was based on how well I'd learnt the last lesson. So build.